Namaste, lovelies. This is Susan with Pack Leader Dog Training, and I'm here with the gorgeous Rachel with Rachel Fuller Dog Training. We're here for our weekly Q&A. Rachel, you want to start us off?
Yes, I would. All right, so question number 1. I want to get another dog, but I'm not sure how my first dog will react. He likes other dogs, but he's a mama's boy and always wants to be the center of attention. What should I do?
So, I'm sorry, I did take a deep breath when I was listening to this question. So a couple red flags. A, you don't know how your dog's going to react. The fact that you're saying that just makes me a little bit cautious. Because if you're already questioning it, there has to be a reason, right? And so then that leads us to, he's a mama's boy, it just sounds like he is a little bit clingy. He may get jealous of other dogs, so if another dog comes over to you, he might push his way in, kind of thing. So before we consider another dog, why don't we just make sure he's more confident with himself and more trained? So if you haven't already taught him the out command, I would. And, well, we'll just say, do the whole training regimen, really. Like, does he have a good solid place command, down, recall, a good out? And how's his confidence? You said he likes other dogs, so we don't have to worry about him, like, going after another dog per se. But if you have an out command, then you can out him off this other dog or out him off of you, and then just build his confidence up so he doesn't feel the need to be, like, clingy with you, because that's just a recipe for disaster. Because when this new dog comes in, of course you're going to be spending a lot of time with this new dog because they don't have any training, and so you're going to have to train this dog. I don't want that to cause your other dog, who may not have all of the training yet, to be set up for failure. So let's train him up first before we add a second one. It's my recommendation. What about you?
Right, I completely agree. So in any situation, even in one where you're not already hesitant, I always recommend just train your first dog first, because it's just going to help you. It's going to set you up for success, your current dog and your new dog. So with him being a mama's boy and wanting to be the center of attention, that's a red flag, because that to me sounds like setting this dog up to be a resource guarder, because you're a resource. Your dog will guard you. Not your dog will, but like your dog can guard you as the person. So you wanna help your dog's mindset first. While that might be cute and fun for you, why is your dog needy? Why does he need to be the center of attention? Probably because, like Susan said, he lacks that confidence. I think you said that. I don't know. We're gonna pretend you did. So train him. I would do the full training course with him. When I recommend things like this, I say it's like a life reboot, right? Full training course, give him structure, give him boundaries, make sure he's in a good place, then bring in this new dog. And then guess what? When you bring in this new dog, do the same thing. Like, just because, like, why not have 2 trained dogs? Having 2 trained dogs, kind of cool. I'm digging it right now. But set them both up for success by taking the time to train the first one. And then when you bring in the other one, try to help him out too, right? But that would be my recommendation. I wouldn't want to bring in a new dog that you know nothing about, right? Because I'm assuming that you haven't already picked out a dog. So I wouldn't want to bring in this new mystery dog into a situation that potentially you already have no control over. So I would want to make sure it's a nice, controlled, safe environment before bringing in another factor.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Scoot, scoot.
Scoot to the next one.
Why does my one chihuahua attack the other when she gets close to his toys and food?
Well, speaking of resource guarding, without having seen it, I'm going to assume that your one chihuahua is resource guarding its toys and food from the other one. So, lots of different things I think of when I hear something like this, but my first one is, let's just be safe, right? So step number 1 is, let's not put either one of these dogs in this situation again for a minute, right? So pick up the toys. If your one dog is guarding toys, we're not going to have just toys out, because that's safety issue, right? So we're going to put all those things away. We're going to feed them in their crates, or we're going to feed them in separate rooms, and then let's think about it. Let's think about what we're going to do moving forward. So, shocker, I'm going to suggest training, life reboot. Your dog needs to learn that that toy and those toys and that food, they belong to you. You're allowing the dog to have it. So if they belong to you, your dog doesn't need to guard it. What's going to make the dog think, oh man, this stuff belongs to my owner and she's just allowing me to have it, is by becoming relevant to your dog through training. And then blah, 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 you can correct the dog either before or after the training. But you can correct the dog for actually guarding those stuff. But something like that to me sounds like the dog's day-to-day life really needs to be evaluated if he or she thinks it's okay to attack its sibling or anyone for that matter over food and toys.
Right. It's not really a simple answer, and it would be really difficult for somebody to train that dog on their own without a trainer involved, like through a Q&A like this. But just thinking about if someone came to me with these two dogs and said this, how would I solve this problem? I would train first the one dog. Now I'm going to train the other dog on all of their basic obedience commands. Now they're going to exist with each other. And I'm going to make sure that they can out off of their toys and their food, both of them. I'm going to correct the male chihuahua who's the one that's attacking. I'm going to correct him if he's a jackass. So if this other dog walks into the room and he starts growling, no thank you. That's extremely rude and uncalled for. The other dog should be able to exist while the other dog is chewing on the food or bone or whatever, who cares? Flip that though too. I'm not going to allow the female dog to be a jackass either. So if the male chihuahua is chewing on a bone, I'm not going to let her come over and try to sneak it away from him because that's extremely rude too. Right. So that's why I would train both of them independently and then teach existence. But if the male chihuahua growls, if she's just in the room, no, correct. If the female comes over into a space, no, out. But that's why it's kind of hard to do it by yourself without a trainer, is because you'd have to train them both independently. Now train them together.
Yeah. Anytime anyone's got any issues with resource guarding, aggression, or separation anxiety, I'm strongly, strongly, strongly recommend you go to a professional trainer, because issues like those are often deeply rooted, I think describes it. And you're going to want to get to the bottom of it. And
there's a lot of nuances too. It's hard for me to tell you, see how he's looking like that? Correct him.
But in a different situation.
Yeah, right.
It's great. So a lot goes into training a dog. So in the meantime, think about those safety protocols and things you can do to avoid an altercation. And in the meantime, while you're having those safety protocols in place, you can work on the training, right? Or work on looking into getting a trainer. Right. Are we scooching? Are you ready to scooch? Scooching on. Wow, we're already on question 3. Okay. So can you give me a brief overview on how to train the out command?
I will try to be as brief as possible.
I know.
I do have a good video on this with Beast.
You have a how-to out video?
I have a how-to out video, not with the Ecollar, just starting out. Okay, so it's best if you have 2 people. So I'm going to say you have 2 people, dogs on a leash. You would have the dog standing in front of somebody. The dog's going to be standing in front of somebody. Either you were petting it or it's just going to be in front of you, right? Because dogs like to gravitate towards us. So with the dog in front of one person, the opposite person's holding the dog's leash loose. The person that the dog is next to says out and then walks into the dog. If the dog turns around, then the person holding the leash is going to say good job and give a food reward. If the dog doesn't turn around when that person says out and walks into them, then the other person with the leash is going to guide the dog away. So the leash is there to help if you need it. And in the first couple reps, you'll probably need to do that because the dog doesn't really understand what's going on, right? So it's going to be first person says out, walks into the dog. Second person guides the dog away with the leash. And then when the dog walks away, that second person says good and rewards. That's the easiest. As you keep doing that, rep after rep, You won't have to walk into the dog anymore or use leash pressure. They'll just understand what it means. But you start out with lots of help. Lots of help is you say the word, walk into the dog, leash pressure. After 2 or 3 times of that, you say the word and walk into the dog. Don't use a leash unless it's needed. After that's going well, you say the word and don't move and see if the dog can walk away on their own.
Mm-hmm.
If they need help, walk into them. But that's how you would start the out command.
Right. I think that's perfect. I don't think need to go into the e-collar stuff, because do a bunch of reps of that. And then if somebody watches this video and they do a bunch of reps of that, let us know and we can maybe talk about e-collar stuff. But I think it's super important to just remember, when you're teaching a dog something, you need to take it slow. You need to show them what that picture looks like. So I think you said something in our last Q&A, really awesome quote that I forget. I'm gonna have to go back and check and make a clip of it because it was awesome, right? But you have to show the dog what that picture looks like. So out, and then there's pressure, my body, a leash, and you move away. You need to do that over and over and over. So the dog, when they know, when you say out, they're gonna say, I've seen this before. I know this picture. I'm going to move away now, right?
Mhm.
So in the beginning of training, when you're teaching your dog anything, repetition, 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 and then some more repetition. And I'm really big on that right now, because I think a lot of people will watch training videos or will see dogs on TV just acting a certain way and think it just happens like that. Whereas as trainers, who do thousands of repetitions with a dog, we know that like you really need to help them understand what this means. Like if you're learning a new language, you don't just go to one class and then you're good to go. You have to practice it and practice it and practice it until it makes sense, until you like
Right.
get it, right? Okay. So yes, that's perfect explanation from Susan, because I knew you would explain it well.
It's hard because you're doing it with 2 people, so it was hard for me to differentiate, like person A does this, person B
Right.
does this. But I do have a video on how to introduce out, so feel free to check that out.
Check Susan out. And then I posted my story a couple of days ago, a little pulley system you can make if you're training your dog out by yourself. Not gonna lie, I hate training out by myself, because for me, I feel like as many repetitions as I want to do, it's not super fair to the dog, because I'm like, out, get away from me. Okay, great, just kidding. Break, you can come back now. Okay, out, get away from me. Break, okay, come back now. The dog's like, I'm not gonna come back to you because you're just gonna tell me to get away from you. But if it's your own dog and you see him every day, practice that like 2 or 3 times and then be done. And then the next day, practice it a couple times and then be done. But the idea is you have to have some sort of way to help the dog move away from you when you say it.
Yeah.
So cool beans, man. Scooch on.
All right. Is there a difference between the 2.25 prong collar and the 3.0 prong collar?
Yes, there is, and I wish I had some to show you, but I don't. I've got a 225, but I've got no comparison. So this is the 225. We're not going anywhere. Thank you for asking. I love my puppy.
She's like, huh? Aw.
Oh, not going nowhere. So the 225 is like smaller, and the 3.0 is bigger. Obviously, might not be obvious, but that's like the actual difference. Now, there's like an expression that we say that the 225 has more pinch per inch, which just means there's more contact points around the neck because they're closer together. I personally like to use the 225 when possible. If a dog's got longer fur. Huh?
Preach it.
Yes.
I used a 2.25 on a Cane Corso.
I know, you had to use like 14 prong collars to make one.
Yeah, I did.
You did have to use 2 though, didn't you?
Yeah, I had to use 2 full ones, yep.
Wow. I've also find that they're just smoother. So I used to train little dogs. I do 225s, and big dogs I would use 3.0s. If you ever seen a picture of my parents' dog Blue, I trained him when I first got into training. He wears a 3.0. Honestly, I just need to get him a 225. I just haven't yet. But I like them. I feel like they're a lot smoother. Like the way they feel when you leash pop, and it's just a lot smoother, and I like them. And I don't really have any more reason than just that I like them.
Yep.
If
Yeah.
you've got like a super a dog with like really long fur, maybe go to a 3.0. But I've also seen a husky wear a 225, so
Hmm.
I don't know.
Preference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, scooching on
Scooch,
over.
scooch.
So this one's fun. I want to give my dog a Christmas gift, and I want to see if he'll unwrap it. Is that okay? Or will it teach him that he can rip apart my things?
Do it.
Yeah.
Cool. Do it. Because I do it with Sadie, and it's so much fun.
Right.
Just because you encourage them to do it in one place, like they won't be like, oh, I can rip apart everything, because dogs don't think like that. The picture is, oh, when my human offers me this and says, get it, or whatever you say, and then like you encourage them, right? So it's a picture. I'll hold the thing up for Sadie. I mean, now she knows, but like I would hold it up and I encourage her to like chew at it and paw at it. And then as she's doing it, I'm like, good job, get it. Like you're very excited, you know? So like they're situational and they'll understand like that it was just for the gift. So don't, short answer, don't worry about it. Let them do it.
Right. With my parents' dog again, Blue, get him a Christmas gift. And I thought it was the funniest thing ever because that's what we did the first time we gave one to him. And he was so excited and he ripped it open. Now, this is a dog who doesn't play with toys until recently. That's a whole nother story. Super funny. But it was a toy and it was wrapped and he ripped apart the wrapping paper. He knew, like, he just didn't, like, obviously watch your dog, but he didn't eat the wrapping paper. He went straight for the toy and he'd play with the toy. But so up until recently, whatever. So he would play with the toy because it was so exciting because we were like, yeah, do it. Never had an issue with him ripping apart other things. So me being like a new dog mom, because I say dog mom because I don't care. But me being a new mom and it being my first Christmas with Gaia, I'm like, should I wrap her gifts or should I not? I don't want her to destroy my room. But it's like made me think of when we had to talk about dogs teaching a dog agility. But what if they're gonna jump the fence? It's a whole different picture. So
Yes.
exactly how you explained it, they're not going to connect the two, and it's super fun to watch them unwrap a gift. So yes. And then if you do give your dog a gift and you record them opening it, send it to me because that's gonna be freaking cute. So thank you.
All right. How do I get my Malamute to like his crate?
So, you can crate train your dog. I was gonna say back to a question we answered earlier, but that was on our last Q&A. So the goal, adjust your goals. Our goal is not to get your dog to like the crate. Our goal is to get your dog to exist calmly in the crate, to not injure themselves or the crate trying to get out. You do that through crate training. How do you crate train your dog? That's a whole story. No, just kidding. Do crate drills, correct the dog for crate nonsense, and let that be that. You don't need to love being in the crate. You just need to exist in it. Like Susan said before, it's just a fact of life. Like it is what it is. Go in your crate and be fine with it. I don't know. Just be fine with it.
Yes. And I'm assuming you're asking because your dog has some crate nonsense behavior. So teach an auto down in the kennel. So when I say go to your kennel, it means go in there and lay down. How we do that is with low level dialing up with the remote collar. So Ecollar Technologies, the mini educator. We do a video on low level dialing up, but you would do that in the kennel and it just creates a calm sense of mind because they're always laying down. They have to be calm. If they bark or like try to break out, of course you'd punish that. But always have them in a down in the kennel when at all possible. And then they'll just learn like place. Oh, when I go in the kennel, it means just lay here and fall asleep. Yep, that's all you do. It's not exciting, just sleep time.
Right. So thank you for actually answering that because all that I could think about is I don't know, crate train them. Oh gosh. But yeah, I think a big thing is adjusting our mindset, our expectations. Your dog
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to love everything they do. I don't love everything I do. I used to use this expression and say, I don't love going to work. Okay, but now I do because I love my job. But I don't love
Love
going to
going
the
to the
grocery
dentist.
store. Huh?
Oh, I said you don't love going to the dentist.
oh yeah, I don't love going to the dentist, right? But it's just a fact of life, so I have to do it. So if your dog doesn't love going in the crate, tough tacos, it's time to go in the crate. So yeah, it's just a way of life, and it is what it is, and that's cool. So thank you, Susan, for explaining how to crate train when I did it. Okay, question 7. What is your favorite command, trick, or activity that you do with your training dogs? So let's get this out of the way. We already know that both of our favorite commands are like place and out and like whatever, right? I just assumed yours. But we've talked about that a lot. But like what's
Yeah.
something that you love training or doing with a dog?
No. Hold on, my board and train bark. I gotta get that. So this was a good opportunity to show how you can be training a dog, but also like living life at the same time. So I do have Jack here as a board and train, and he's actually just in a break. So hold on 1 second. He's down here somewhere. Hopefully you can see him. See him?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he's in a break. He's choosing to just lay there. I don't care. But even in a break, there's a couple rules. If you're on a leash, don't pull on the leash. If you're in the house, no barking, whining, chasing the cat. So he heard a delivery man outside. So I marked it with no. Right after he barked, I said no. And then I went to get his e-collar. So important thing is your marker word. Like just get your marker word in. But now I'm able to follow through and then still continue with the Q&A. So how great is that?
Pretty great.
My favorite trick, or I don't know if I have a favorite trick yet. I love the confidence building stuff. Getting them to jump up on things, go under things, teaching them roll over, like, so pretty much confidence building is getting your dog out of their comfort zone and showing them that they can do awesome things they didn't think that they could do. I love doing that.
Right.
So I kind of was like, everything. I love everything.
But you touched on like why, like the seeing the dog become more confident and do things, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, my answer is gonna sound pretty lame now.
What's yours?
Well, I don't know. Okay, so one of my favorite things, like I guess training wise, so like for activities, one of my favorite things to do with my training dogs, right now anyways, is speed drills. I love doing speed drills with the dogs, and it's funny, and I need to find a new name for it because my speed drills aren't very speedy. Okay, so what a speed drill is the dog starts on place, I recall them to me, put them in a down, I go back to the place, recall them to me, and put them on place. No, you know what speed drills are, Susan, but I just thought I would explain. So I say they're not really speed drills because I like to do distance with my recall. So like if you stand like a couple feet away from the place, you can go bam, 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 bam. But I like to like add some distance. The reason I really like the speed drills is because once you do a few of them, the dog starts to anticipate what you're asking of them, right? And I think that's the reason that a lot of trainers don't like the speed drills. I like that because then I throw a curveball. So whereas you've just seen the picture of me walking away from your place and recalling you 10 times, I'm not going to recall you this time. I'm going to walk back to you and reward you. And that throws off a lot of dogs because a lot of dogs are like, all right, I'm about to break place and run to you because you're about to call me. And now I'm actually like, nope, I'm going to walk over to you and reward you now for staying in there. Or I'm going to correct you if you break. Or another thing that I like to do is it's a way of proofing, right? So I will go away from the place and I'll go to call the dog, but I won't actually call the dog. So instead of saying the dog's name plus here, I'll say a word that starts with the first letter of your name, and I'll say a word that starts with H, right? I don't know why I had to think about that. I forgot what I was saying. For me, I think it's just a lot of fun, and I got like really excited talking about it for a second. I just think it's really fun. There's so many ways to mix it up, and you get to work on a lot of different commands at once, and you get to proof a lot of different things at once. So I think it's a lot of fun.
That's interesting. I did not know that answer for you.
Yeah, because honestly, I was just thinking about it the other day. when I was doing it with Mosley, I'm like, this is honestly just so much fun. And then I posted on my story, you can see, not on my story, on my page, you can see us working on it a little bit. But
Yeah,
I think it's just a really fun way to like practice all of the commands, and like it makes the dog super engaged with you because they're like, man, what is she gonna throw at me next? It's a lot of fun. So that's my favorite activity.
nice.
Tricks, I don't really have any cool tricks yet, but I'll get back to you on that one.
Okay. One of your favorite questions.
How
How
long
long
does it take to?
how long would it take to train my pit bull to stay? My family's coming for Christmas and I don't want her rushing them at the door.
How much work are you willing to put into it? That's going to be the answer to your question. So if you want to spend 5 minutes teaching your dog to stay once a week, then it's going to take a long time, right? But if you're willing to work with your dog a couple times a day throughout the day consistently, you're going to catch on quicker. And it's also going to depend on what method you're going to use. So if you're going to go the way Susan and I trained, if you're going to go a balanced approach where you're going to teach the dog to sit and then correct him for breaking that sit, it's going to learn it pretty quick. But if you're going to want to go a treat only approach and you're going to teach the dog to sit and just reward the sitting, and then nothing when he breaks, that's going to take a lot longer. So as far as how long is it going to take you to train your dog to sit, I don't know, guys. I don't know how long it takes to do anything, honestly. I don't. But what I can say is be consistent with it. Start slow. Don't try to rush it, because by trying to rush it, right, by telling your dog to sit and then walking to the other room and your dog is going to break, all that's doing is putting you farther behind. So keep your leash on. Have your dog sit. Take baby steps and then go from there. Also, side note, because I just had this like thought in my head, could you read the question to me again? Sorry.
It says, how long would it take to train my pit bull to stay? My family is coming for Christmas and I don't want her rushing them at the door.
Okay, so stay, I don't know why I assumed you were talking about sit, but I have an implied stay with my sit, so I guess it works. I would probably ignore stay, honestly, and just train your dog place for one, because that's going to be like a whole calmer mindset anyways. Train your dog place, same answer. Don't know how long it's going to take. It's going to depend on how long you work on it, and create your train your dog. But that didn't answer the question at all, but that's all I got for you. What do you have, Susan? I'm awful.
Yeah, it depends on your training style. So if you trained like us, balanced training, right? So you start off nice and fair, and I'll just tell you how long it would take me.
Because
So
you're awesome.
if I worked with this dog, I would feel pretty confident after the first week that your dog will be able to remain calm, and or if your dog broke place, I would be able to say no, do non-compliant stim, and your dog goes back to the place bed. But that's with me probably doing 3 drills, so 3 15 to 20-minute drills a day on place, and then getting them to the e-collar, and then practicing people coming to the door. So I'm by myself, so I would like knock on the wall, and then if the dog barks, no, punish. If the dog stays on the bed and has no reaction, good, here's your food. But literally 15 minutes, 15 20 minutes at least 3 times a day for a week. But
I like it.
so yes, your dog could be trained by Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
But how much work you putting into that?
Right. And I think that's why, as you're talking, I had like my own aha moment. I'm like, I think that's why I suck at timing questions so much, because where I'm at right now with my business, my courses are harder to tell time, because I go to my client's house 3 times a week for X amount of weeks. So I don't get to work with the dogs every day like an owner who's asking the question would.
Mm-hmm.
I just had like an aha moment that makes me feel a little bit better, because I'm like, why am I so dumb and don't know how to answer time questions? So yes, be consistent, put in the work, and if you're awesome like Susan, which I know you can be, if you stay consistent, then you can have your dog trained by Christmas. Train to where you need them to be by Christmas.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, man. Pretty cool.
Scoot, scoot.
Scoot, scoot. Question 9. Yep.
Yep.
This one's like, okay, so kind of training related, but kind of threw in a vet tech question for you. So, I like to take my dog hiking with me. I like to take my dogs hiking with me. They're finally at the point where they're off leash with an e-collar. But my one dog always wants to drink water from the creek. Is that safe for her? And if not, what can I do to stop it?
Okay, so yes and no. Depends on your dog. So the only thing that I'd be worried about with stagnant water is leptospirosis, which is a virus that's spread by wildlife urine. And when they urinate, it collects in bodies of water. So if your dog drank from this water, that's how your dog would get it. So if your dog has a leptospirosis vaccine, cool, drink water, I don't care. Because then, like they're probably thirsty. But some dogs will drink a lot of water and then vomit. Some dogs will drink water and maybe there's something in it that makes them have diarrhea. But if your dog doesn't have any adverse effects like that with drinking, if they don't chug it, if it doesn't cause dietary indiscretion, and if your dog has a leptospirosis vaccine, let them drink it. I don't care. Let them have fun. Like my whole thing, because like I do know some friends of mine, not Rachel, but they won't let their dog drink out of water, like that, like a creek or pond, because they're worried about leptospirosis or whatever. I got dogs to enjoy. So I let my dog stick her head out the window. Don't do that. I don't recommend that. I let my dog drink river water. I don't care. Like she's a dog. Let her be a dog.
Right.
If it doesn't cause anything, health-wise for her. But she does have the leptospirosis vaccine.
Nice.
But thank you, because I love vet-related questions.
So yeah, cool. Because honestly, I took these guys out on a little hike today, and there was a little creek, had like really flowing water, and it was pretty clear. And Ford went and took a few steps, and then kept on moving. So I'm like, that doesn't hurt my feelings. Like the water seems pretty chill. Like obviously, if whatever disease was in there that you said, I wouldn't have been able to see it. But the water was flowing, and I'm like, that made me feel good that it was flowing. But he just took a few steps and he moved on. If he would have kept on sitting there drinking it, me not knowing a lot would have probably been like, all right, let's go. So to answer the if not part, like if we don't want your dog to drink out of the water because it's stagnant, maybe if the water was stagnant and like looked gross, I'm just like kind of got germ issues, so I probably wouldn't want them to drink that. What you can do is you can use the out command that we talk about all the time, or you could just recall your dog away because you said that your dogs are off leash on e-collar now. So I'm assuming that means you've got a pretty solid recall. So you can just recall them away from the water if you don't want them to drink it. But flowing water is usually better, right? Maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, and then yeah, careful with like the chugging, or like if you're at the beach or somewhere with salt water or like brackish water, that's gonna like dehydrate them. So I would like encourage them not to drink that because they're thinking they're hydrating themselves, but they're just dehydrating themselves.
Yes.
Boom. Sounded smart right there.
Hey, is it true that neutering helps calm a dog down?
Oh, I got the answer before I even heard it. Okay, so I'm not a vet. Full disclosure, not a vet. Susan, did you know I'm not a vet? Okay.
Do now.
All right. You shouldn't have let me operate on your dog last week because I'm not a
No.
vet, but here we are. So, is it true that neutering a dog will calm it down? Maybe. Some dogs, I guess, have gotten calmer after being neutered. Or else this story came out of nowhere. Like, I imagine it came from somewhere, right? So, maybe your dog will calm down from neutering it. Would I suggest somebody to neuter their dog to calm it down? No, because the chances are your dog's still going to be their regular crazy self. What I would suggest to calm a dog down is training them.
Dun dun dun.
I know, it really surprises me that as a trainer, I recommend training. Just blows my mind every time. But here's the thing,
Wait. I'm sorry, hold on. So you're saying, as a trainer, you wouldn't recommend neutering and or changing their diet? to calm him
I
down.
know, it's crazy, but I kinda just go with training. You know, like, if your dog's got X, Y, and Z issue, they're crazy, they're anxious, they're hyper, try training. Because there's not a lot, not gonna lie, there's not a lot that the place command can't fix. Just saying. These dogs right here, they could both be anxious, they could both be, dogs who jump off the walls, but you wouldn't know it because 'cause they're in a place command, and they know to hold their command.
Mhm.
So, um, just kidding. Guy is actually only calm because I feed her raw and because she's spayed. Okay. No. So I am an advocate for spaying and neutering dogs because I'm sick of seeing accidental litters. It ticks me off, but it's not going to calm your dog down. And I think it would be unethical to, I guess you can't say unethical if people actually believe it. Um, I just don't think it would be right to say spaying and neutering is going to fix the problem when you
Mhm.
don't know. You don't know what the dog's reaction is going to be to the spay or the neuter. You know,
Yeah.
my parents' dog was neutered at 6 years old. Um, they had known they didn't have a reason to neuter him. They didn't care. We had another male dog in the house and just got them both neutered at the same time. Blue didn't change, not one bit. So like, I don't know.
I can only see if you neuter your dog at 6 months of age, where we like vets usually recommend it. It could calm your dog down because the increased testosterone does make them want to get into things that other dogs might not want to.
All right,
So
that
I've
makes
worked
sense.
with 2 male dogs that were not neutered. They trained up just fine, big shock. Okay. But their noses got them in trouble.
Mhm.
And Beast, the Cane Corso, he listened really well, but he blew through 100 to smell urine, female urine.
Yeah.
So if you neutered your dog at 6 months, could it make them be calmer? I'll just say yes, because they don't have the testosterone to encourage them to make bad decisions that then become behavior issues. Okay? So if your unneutered male wants to lead a stray because he keeps smelling like female dogs, so he runs away a lot, right? Runs away. Neutering him at 2 years old won't help that because that's a learned behavior. It turned from I want to go get this female because I'm not neutered, to now it's a learned behavior because I do this every other day. So neutering him doesn't change it because it's a lifestyle now. He does it. You can train it out of him though. So if you would have neutered him at 6 months, could you make the argument he might not have ran off as much? Sure. So then he's calmer? Sure.
Mhm.
But neutering's not going to fix it.
Yeah. And yeah, well, you have a good point with what you're saying. And I guess I'm just so like get irked when people go to things that I guess just anything that's not training to fix behavioral issues. I guess it just irks me, so I'm just like no. But you're right. I can see how like there are the benefits to it. Um, I just don't ever want to suggest to somebody to spay or neuter their dog to solve X
Yes,
behavioral issue. Like
right.
like you said, it might help, but it's not going to solve. So your
It
dog
might
being neutered,
it might help the problem from becoming a problem in the
right,
first place.
right.
But now that the problem exists, neutering won't fix that problem.
Hmm. And the heavy on the might, I think is my big thing too. Like
Yes.
your dog might neutered at 6 months old, might still run away because that's just what your dog wants to do.
Right.
Mm. There's plenty of intact dogs who don't run away. So maybe
Right.
that's just your dog, but we don't know. But what we do know and what is more of a, like a guarantee and less of a maybe it'll fix is
Yeah.
training, right? I
Training
don't know.
works
It's
every
like not to be ugly to anyone who recommends diet change or spaying and neutering to fix a behavioral problem, but like I kind of feel like it's like a lazy way out. And again, like not to be ugly or whatever, but it's like training your dog is not only going to fix whatever issue you're trying to correct by spaying and neutering or by changing the diet, it's also going to help you in so many other ways and help your dog's quality of life in so many other ways and open up the door for like so much awesome stuff that why
Mm-hmm.
not train your dog?
Right.
And the other stuff is just like a guess. So why hurt your wallet or upset your dog's stomach by switching them to raw because you think it might fix a problem? Or why pay a bunch of money and have your dog undergo surgery to fix a problem? Again, I'm a fan of raw and I'm a fan of spaying and neutering. I'm not a fan of using those things as a way to solve problems with your dog.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how I feel.
It's a good question to end on.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, that's deep. I feel like,
That was a trainer talk right there.
right?
Woo!
Yes. That being said, spay and neuter your dogs because I'm sick of accidental puppies.
No one wants to see those testicles.
Honestly.
Do you ever do that when you're so you're out in public and a dog walks by and you're like, that is a good looking dog, right? And right as they walk by, you're like, ugh, because you see the dangles.
Oh my gosh, can I say, there's a Vishla? How do you say it? Vishla? Whatever. Yeah, the red whines. I call them the red Weimaraners. Oh, that dog was so cute, but he was an intact male, and we all kind of had to not like him because of that. And he like, you know how the dudes like, the dogs like to lay on their back?
Yes.
Like to lay on his back all the time. And it's, you see his face, and it's like, oh, he's so cute. And then it's like, ugh, you're gross. Get away from me. Like, I don't want you anywhere near me right now. But yeah, so training is cool. I hope y'all liked this plot twist of trainers recommending training. And yeah, is that it? That's question 10, right?
That's it.
So I hope you guys loved this a bunch. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, please ask us because we love answering them. My phone is blowing up, so
I know, mine is too.
if you like us, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And I hope everyone has a great day.